This guy has helped his clients make over $150 million, some of the highest, most influential figures on the planet. I'm super excited to introduce you to Nido Abdu. My first $10 million in this business, single-handedly, I credit Nido, a man who escaped a barbaric civil war in Somalia.
I was a refugee, we went into the Indian Ocean, we got lost in the water, we got hit by a storm, and 2 of the 3 boats capsized. So alhamdulillah, we were in the 1 boat that made it. So my entire life has really been trying to find freedom.
He began selling vacuum cleaners door to door, and this sparked his interest in sales and marketing, and it got him to stumble across the works of Dan Kennedy and Jay Abraham. And after spending grueling hours cleaning houses without guaranteed pay, working tirelessly, endless jobs, he was on the brink of giving up. But one day in 2006, Nido stumbled across a Craigslist ad.
It literally said, if you've studied Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, Ted Nicholas, Gary Bencivenga, this might be the best opportunity for you.
It was a marketing strategist role in a dental business.
I gave him, as they say, an offer you can't refuse. I said, I'll work for you for 6 weeks. Do not pay me. If I am not the best person for this job, no, the absolute best, all you owe me is a handshake at the end of the 6 weeks. But I promise to show you that this is the best decision you'll ever make.
Fast forward to present, he's now become an expert worldwide, sought after copywriter, master marketing strategist, and a 9-figure marketing genius who I'm also very blessed to say one of my best friends in the world. So in this video, you're going to discover the top traits of highly successful people, the power of building personal brands that attracts top level entrepreneurs, and the single most important factor for success for longevity. This is a conversation that will radically change the way you think about business, branding, and taking your life to the next level. As he says, freedom or nothing. Let's go. What's up, brother? Assalamu alaikum. Before I get started, I want to give huge credit. All credit is due to first Allah. Praise to God. Secondly, I remember about 14 years, is it 14? No, it's 10 years ago. 10 years ago right now, 2014. I had hosted an event, and actually Nido came by and helped me craft a single offer, one single offer. My Inner Circle Mastermind. Some of you will probably have heard of it. Till date, it's generated over $10 million in cash. And just last month, we did another 6-figure month profit, and it was primarily due, 90% of it was to the same offer that I created 10 years ago. But it wasn't actually me that created it, it was Nido. So Nido is a master strategist when it comes to business, copy, and all-around good human being, which is the most important part. And that's why we've been best friends for, 10 years now. Well, maybe 7 years. The first few years, he used to do work with me. And that's a whole different topic. So Nido, what's up?
Good to be here, bro. Always good to come here and see, mashallah, all the success that you've had over the years. And funny how it started 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, it feels like 2 weeks ago, but some good times flies by, as they say.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember very clearly. We actually were driving in central London, and we passed the exact hotel that you all started from. You flew in from Boston. That time you didn't live in Dubai, did you?
No, I was in Boston.
Yeah, you were in Boston. I had just started making money, right? So I had probably made $4 or $5 million. I was 24, maybe 25 years old, still really young. And I flew in all of these guys from Tom Beale, Mike Dillard, basically every single person that helped me back in the day. And I can't remember how much I spent. I probably spent $60,000, $80,000 to put this event on. And this was a good decade ago, right? It was a lot of money back then. And Nido comes up to me and he goes, "What are you selling at this event?" Remember?
I do.
And I said, "Oh, I'm not selling anything because they've already paid, $500, $1,500 or something to come to this event. I've got nothing to sell." And he goes, No. The purpose of doing these events is so that you sell something and so that you're continuing a journey and a relationship with the customer. And I was like, I've got nothing to sell. So I turned around to him and I said, "You are my copywriter," because at the time he was on part of my team and he used to write copy for me. I said, "You have 1 hour. You come up with an offer, something I can present." Like, what was going through your head back then?
I was like, this guy's a little crazy in 1 hour. But the other time, look, in every business, we have customers, but not all customers are equal, right? Some customers will buy one time from you.
Yeah.
Some customers will buy multiple times from you. But the customers that are willing to give you not only their money, but their time, they're getting on a plane, they're getting on a car, they're taking a day or 2 or 3 away from their families to be with you. Those are your most rapid customers. They're your raving fans.
Yeah.
So for you, when I came to the event, first of all, I assumed, because obviously we're getting to know each other at that time, so I assumed maybe you already had an offer in mind, because you have your best customers sitting there and they're waiting to buy more from you.
Yeah.
They want to, that's why they came. So when I found out you didn't have one, so obviously, we realized this is a live event.
Yeah.
There's not going to be another opportunity to present something for them. So we had to do what we had to do in 1 hour. But the interesting thing is this: because these are your best fans, it doesn't have to be perfect offer, right? So they were already sold. They were literally just waiting for you to present them the offer. That's why, in part, if this was going to a cold audience, for me to create an offer that would convert like the way that it did, it wouldn't have been as easy.
Yeah.
But because there were already like your hottest fans there, your hottest customers and your best customers, that's why, we did, I think, out of a room of like 180,000 pounds.
There.
Right.
180,000 pounds.
In 1 hour.
Yeah. He created it. I get on stage and I'm thinking, what on earth are these slides? Because I didn't review them. I just got up and I said, I'm going to present. And one of the big lessons is progress over perfectionism. It's like there's so much information out there today. So many people, they still get stuck on, what if it doesn't work out? It's okay if it doesn't work out. What if their videos doesn't get the views? Or what if their offer doesn't convert? Or they've built an offer, they've launched it and it didn't do well. They're so attached to every small outcome, it holds them back. And it's because when you're watching so many people do their craft, you forget that it's taken them years to get there. Right? It's taken them years to get there, just like you. You spent many years crafting offers, and now you work behind the scenes with some of the top influencers in the world, helping them launch their offers. But I remember making that offer, and I was thinking, man, if I get like 2-3 sales, that's a good one. It's like, I can't remember how many, it was like 12 or 15 people. They ran to the back.
18 people.
18 people. They ran to the back and they basically signed up. And I remember thinking, wow, I just made 180,000 pounds in like basically one hour of me speaking. And so that was incredible. And then I got online and I had another mentor for online marketing. And he said to me, that offer is so good, you should double the price. And I didn't have no hesitation. I put the price up to $40,000 and we sold over 180 units. Till today, we've sold around 200 units at 40K to 60K price point with an upsell for like 120, 150K. And it's easily done over $10 million. By the way, one of these big awards, 8-figure awards, I single-handedly credit Nido for this. Okay, so I remember thinking to myself, wow, every time I want to make money, I want to build a business, I have to go and craft an offer. And so how do you create offers? Why do people buy? We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But for a lot of people that are going to be watching this, they won't know you, right? So it's like people that know you refer you. And you're kind of very well known amongst only a group of select people. But then the rest of the world doesn't know you. So what's your story? And I love your story. So take me back to when you were just getting started, young age.
Yeah. So, I was a refugee. My family and I escaped a barbaric civil war. We went into the Indian Ocean. We were started with 3 boats. Unfortunately, we got lost in the water. We got hit by a storm and 2 of the 3 boats capsized. So alhamdulillah, we were in the one boat that made it. So my entire life has really been trying to find freedom, right? We lived in Kenya, we lived in Egypt, and growing up, I wanted to be a soccer player. So when that didn't happen, when that didn't come into fruition, it was a bit strange because I never envisioned anything else other than playing professional soccer. So after high school and early years in college, I just took on odd jobs. But everything changed when I actually started to sell vacuum cleaners door to door.
Okay.
Because it was a commission-only job, and this is just when I got married. So I'd be going into someone's house for 2 to 3 hours. I'd be cleaning their house with trying to sell them a Kirby vacuum, which was around $1,600, right? And when you leave after cleaning somebody's house for 2 to 3 hours and you don't get paid and you literally did all that work for nothing, it's a painful experience, especially you've got bills waiting for you, you've got expenses, gas is on you. Sometimes you drive an hour, 2 hours to get to the place. So that's when I realized, look, maybe there's a skill here, right? Maybe you ought to learn how to sell. So as I would drive from one, house to the next, I'd be listening to audio, in my car. Brian Tracy was one of the first guys, Zig Ziglar. So I'd just be listening to them. And then that led me into marketing. And I just fell in love with it. So as I was doing that in 2006, I remember, it was weird. One day I was selling vacuum cleaners during the weekday. And then on the weekends, I worked 2 jobs. I worked as a security, and then I also worked as a front desk at a health club. So I would be reading marketing books, Dane Kennedy, Jay Abraham. And then one day, as I was, as this girl that worked with me, as she was leaving, she says, listen to me, you're always reading these books. Why not just get a job in marketing and sales? I'm like, yeah, maybe sometime, or maybe someday. And she's like, check out Craigslist. I've never heard of it till that day. So I'm like, cool, I'll check it out. November 6, 2006, never forget the day, around midnight. I'm on my laptop, my wife's sleeping, everybody's gone, and I'm like, oh, let me check Craigslist. So I check Craigslist. There's one ad under marketing, and it literally says, I still have the ad, I can show it to you.
Wow.
It literally said, if you've studied Dane Kennedy, J. Abraham, Ted Nicholas,
Wow.
Gary Ben-Sevenga, this might be the best opportunity for you. So it was this expert who had a business helping dental practices grow. And he was looking for someone to execute marketing for him, a marketing strategist position in his company. But the thing is, you don't just send a CV. You have to send an ad. You actually have to market yourself. So I marketed myself. I gave him a really great story. I told him about my history. I acknowledged the fact that I might not have experience, but I have the hunger, I have the desire, I have the ambition. And I gave him, as they say, an offer you can't refuse. I said, I'll work for you for 6 weeks. Do not pay me. If I am not the best person for this job, the absolute best, all you owe me is a handshake at the end of the 6 weeks. But I promise to show you that this is the best decision you'll ever make. So he gave me the opportunity. As they say, the rest is history. I've learned a lot from him. He's my mentor. He was making, he was making, about $5 million a year, $3 million a year. I came in, I've helped increase that. I was literally doing
10 years ago.
This was more than 10 years ago. This was 2006, 2007.
That's crazy. I've actually never heard you say that story.
Yeah. And from there, it's funny. It's funny how life works. So Dane Kennedy, I mentioned, I was reading his books. A few months later, I'm sitting next to him in this ultra exclusive mastermind where it was $30,000 to get in. And I'm sitting next to him with 18 other people who are multimillionaires, each of them talking about their business, their strategies, what's working, what's not working. So being immersed in that world, building
Who else
network.
was there?
Perry Marshall, Bill Glazer, at some point Frank Kern. All the gurus that you know today, like Russell Brunson, all those, they were actually in the lower level. Okay. There was platinum, and I think there was a titanium. I don't know what they called it. So all these guys were like just trying to get in. Ryan Dice.
Wow.
So all these people that I was really looking up to, like Dane Kennedy and those guys. I got to learn from them hands on.
Wow. And then we met because you started posting in my Facebook group, and then one thing led to another. You started working with me, and then you've been now helping. Who do you help now in terms of with your offers?
Yeah, so I've worked with gurus, you can say, people who were experts in specific niches. So my mentor, where I started from, was he was in the dental market. So I literally did everything. Ran the marketing for events. I was his top sales and trainer for marketing. I mean, I did everything that you can imagine. So once I developed all those skills, I said to myself, well, I can just limit myself and work for him, or I can take on other experts and run their business behind the scenes. So I had clients in accounting industry. I had clients in the automotive industry. I had clients in, what's it called? HVAC, a guy who was making actually $20 million a year.
Nice.
But then after a while, I kind of took a break. And I started to work more with corporates, right? Because mainly, as we always talk about, sometimes the who makes a difference. So for the same amount of work I was doing for a guy who was doing $5 million a year, $10 million a year, if I'm offering this to a company that's doing $100 million, $200 million a year, I can actually charge a lot more. So that was just mainly on a strategic perspective. And now, because I've been doing a lot of work on the behind the scenes, as you mentioned, a lot of people don't know who I am. A lot of people, unless you're kind of in the industry, I'm coming more into the forefront where I'm actually teaching more and sharing all the things that I've learned from years and years of experience of applying marketing strategies. I think a big problem today, and you know this firsthand, is a lot of people read a book or they're on one campaign that's successful, and all of a sudden they think they're a guru.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that easy. So I feel after over a decade of actually generating over $150 million for the work that I've been doing, now I'm comfortable coming out and actually sharing what I've learned with other people.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I've been sending you clients over the years, because when someone asks me who's one of the best copywriters, marketing strategists that you're at the top of the list. So I super appreciate how you've helped me change my business. Let's shift the topics, but I want to drink some coffee first. All right, we've got some coffee. Now, one of the things that you did over the last 7-8 years now, amongst all of my friends, most of my friends are now, even for me as well, living between London and Dubai. But you were the first to fully move there. Actually, you were the second one, but you were one of the first to leave your country, America, and then you go straight to Dubai. Why this shift to Dubai?
So there are two parts of this story. The first part is I'm someone who is a total believer in manifesting things.
Okay.
So I have this notebook that is over a decade long. I still have it, where I wrote down what my perfect day looks like. I was listening to someone and they're like, yeah, you need to do this exercise. What is your perfect day look like? Where are you working? Where are you living? All this stuff. So I literally put on that perfect day that I'd be living in Dubai and where I was living and how my house looked and everything. And so I've already had that in my mind. I was reading this on a daily basis. But then came a day, and this is when Trump was running for president. So all of a sudden, for those of you who know for politics, or at least follow American politics, a lot of people started to, because till then America, of course, everywhere in the world, they have people that have certain views on different cultures, different nationalities. But for the most part, people kept that to themselves. But when this campaign started, when Trump's campaign started, a lot of people started to open up about how they really feel about other cultures. So I remember one day I was taking my kids to Chuck E. Cheese, and there was a car. It was 3 lanes. I was in the middle lane, and at a red light, I looked to my left. I see someone in their car on the truck. It said Allahu Akbar with a cross mark, right? I look to my right. I see the Confederate flag, and it kind of triggered something. It triggered when I was a refugee and I was running away because someone did not like my tribe and I was in that war. And it might not have been as bad, obviously, but just to feel like once again, here we are, and I have to now, think twice about where I take my family and things like that. I made the decision then and there. I'm like, you know what? I'm packing up and I'm going to Dubai. And honestly, it's been one of the best decisions I've made. Obviously, every time you move, it's not easy. There's a time that requires to settle in, make new friends. I mean, for me, it was easy because I already had a lot of friends in Dubai, but my wife and family, for them to adjust. But now that we've adjusted, I don't see ourselves living anywhere else.
I love it. How is life in Dubai compared to when you come and see here? When you see all sorts of different types of people.
Yeah.
I made a joke, but it's kind of serious. Like, there's a lot of blue-haired and pink-haired people walking around now, and you don't know who's a man, who's a woman. I mean, in Dubai, you don't really see that.
No, no. In Dubai, I don't have to worry about my kids going to school and being taught certain subjects that is way too young.
Yeah.
You know, and way too inappropriate, to be quite frank, to be taught in a school, you know, as part of a school curriculum. And look, everywhere in the world, you have pros and cons. You know, Dubai is not perfect, just like anywhere else in the world. But for me, if you ask me, why did I move to Dubai? Why do I live there? It's not the limelight. It's not the fancy stuff. And there's a lot of people that, you know, come to Dubai for that. They're called tourists. But once you live there, it kind of runs out of your system. You're not going to Dubai Mall, and you're not going to Burj Al Khalifa and all these fancy places every single day. But what I really like the most is the peace of mind, the safety. When you know that you have, especially if you have family, that you don't have to worry about someone harming you, harming your family. You don't have to worry about, you know, what's going to happen if you leave your car open or if you leave your laptop on the table. Things that you cannot even fathom.
Yeah.
In the West. And I'm sorry to say, like, I usually wear watches. I'm not wearing a watch because I wore it the first day I came to London, and a friend of mine is like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you wearing your watch?" I mean, things like this, you know, right? So this is why I
Actually, for those that don't understand or don't know why you don't wear nice watches in London, what's the reason why you don't wear nice watches?
If you want to keep your wrist, don't wear watches. I mean, obviously you've seen all the, you know, videos where people get their watch snatched off, and sometimes it's worse. People don't even ask you for your watch. They harm you, they attack you, and then they take your watch. If they ask me, I'll just give it to them.
Yeah.
You know,
that's like one of the things, you know, I had my Range Rover, like I bought this Range Rover, that top spec, autobiography, blah, blah, blah. And it got stolen, right? And so it got stolen, no big deal, whatever. I'm like, fine, I'll have to get another one. But I remember just before it got stolen, I would always think to myself, wherever I'm parking, would it get stolen from here? And it got stolen from one of my penthouses in London, where I had secure gate, like CCTV, everything. 2 weeks later, I remember calling up the concierge lady, and I basically asked, "Hey, do you have what did the police say?" And she goes to me, "No, the police didn't request the CCTV of the car being stolen." And I'm like, one, the police didn't show up because they said, it happens all the time. Basically, it's fine. Just like, don't bother. And then they gave me a crime reference number. But the next thing was, they didn't even ask to see the CCTV. That's how bad the crime is here.
Yeah.
Compare that to when I'm in Dubai. You know, I'm wearing watches. I'm like leaving my stuff around. You can leave your laptop, go and pray. There's no worry. Is someone going to steal your, you know, fancy bag and your mobile phone?
Yeah. Check this. So my cousin, Shingo.
Yeah.
I think maybe the first time he came to Dubai, he lost his wallet in a taxi. Calls me up, and I can tell he's freaked out. It had everything, especially when you're a tourist, your credit cards, your ID, everything is there. It's not a good feeling. So I asked him a few questions. It wasn't a taxi ordered by Uber or Kareem. It was literally a taxi that he just stopped in the middle of the road. So I'm like, give me a landmark. So I called the hotline they have. They're like, give us a landmark. Give us an approximate time of when this happened. And then they might have had one extra question. I gave them the details. I get a call within 30 minutes. Where can we drop off the wallet? I mean, think about that, right? I'm like, yeah, it was by this hospital. We don't know. Yeah, maybe between 8:30 to 9. We don't know the taxi's number. We don't know anything. And this is like what I like about Dubai. Another thing is that they act fast. So growing up in America, you hear a lot of things about what the politicians are going to do, or all these promises and all these things that's going to change. Year after year, nothing happens. In Dubai, I rarely ever hear what the sheikh is going to do. I rarely ever hear a sheikh coming on and making a promise. You only see it's done, right? Yeah. If there's a problem, it is taken care of so fast that there is not even enough time to campaign for it.
Yeah.
So that's why you see that they've been able to do in 50 years what it would have taken other countries over 500 years.
Yeah. Like the recent flooding.
Yeah.
Recent flooding in Dubai. How long did that take for it to be cleaned up?
I mean, it was cleaned up pretty fast, but now I've also seen like 2-3 days ago that, I don't know, maybe $80 billion that they're putting in, to build a better underground infrastructure so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need a politician to come. If this problem happened, I will make sure it doesn't, affect you anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's already been done. So probably in a few months, or I don't know how long these things take, you're going to see that this is something that's not going to repeat itself.
Like one of the things I've seen over the years is, mashallah, because of the nature of the business that we're in, we are very grateful to always be around extremely successful people, right? You've been around way more than me in terms of celebrities, billionaires. You just told me that you are on a private jet, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't even see your pictures. You didn't even tell me, right? Until you just told me. And you've been friends, and you are friends with some of the top influencers in all over UAE. And, you're always around these super successful people. When you look at, say, the top 3 of the most successful people that you know, what are their habits? And what are the personality traits or something that you see in them that you're like, this is why they make $10 million. This is why they make $100 million. This is why that guy is a billionaire.
Yeah. So here's the thing about successful people. I used to think successful people had special type of DNA. I used to think that special people were immune to fear, that they just had this superpowers that they can create anything out of will. But the reality is they're just like us. They're just like everybody else. They have fears, they have insecurities, uncertainties. They have ideas, and part of it is like, I don't know if they're going to work or not. But here's what makes them different. Despite of how they feel, they take action. They're not afraid to do 2 things. They're not afraid to think big. So they think big, and they're not afraid to fail. They're not afraid of looking stupid. They're not afraid of, embarrassment. They understand if you fail, you just try again, and you just try again, and you just try again. Most other people that I've seen is that they look at these celebrities, they look at successful people. And this is another thing that changed in my mind. Once I worked with a lot of top influencers, I realized there's really nothing to worship or nothing to really look at them other than, to learn from them.
Yeah.
When I see somebody successful, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm like, no. Okay, what can I learn from this person? But when you start to worship somebody, you're already dissociating yourself and your abilities from them. You're already saying these people have different abilities. I can never measure up that high. So for that reason, I will bow down, which for me, other than God, no one else is worthy of that.
Yeah.
So they take action fast. They have no fear of failing, and they are willing to get feedback, change, take risks, hire the right people, do all the things that most other people, will wait for the right and perfect time, to do, which unfortunately is not the case, not the way to success.
It's funny because one of your friends has like 20, Nido's super humble, and then his friends as well. I'm not going to put myself in that category, but they're also super humble. And I remember like we were at this restaurant and one of the kids has like 20 million, 25 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Is it 20 million or something?
It's 70 million overall is part.
70.
70.
70
40 million on YouTube and,
wow. Okay, so when I was with the kid, he had like 25 million.
Just on YouTube.
Wow.
So at the time he had just 25, but now it's almost 40.
40 million subscribers, right? And like when I ask you, hey, what's the thing that makes them really like, how does someone get 40 million subs? How does he do it?
Consistency.
That's what
I had him on my podcast and I asked him the question.
Yeah.
So he said, I think
40 million subs.
Right.
That's nearly a quarter or half of what Mr. Beast does.
There's a funny thing, Shaq, that in life there comes a moment, you could call it the magic moment, where things just start to flourish. So for example, you can work out for a year, you can work out for 2 years and not see that much of a difference. But then all of a sudden, 1 week, boom, everything changes. Your body, you cut up, right? But that's not from that 1 week's work. It's the compilation of the 2 years.
Yeah.
Same thing on YouTube. So one thing he said, I think he's like, for the first 4 years, he was like at 100K subs. But then the next 4 years went from that to that almost 40 million. But it's 8 years of work, of commitment, of consistency. So a lot of people don't have the patience to wait for that magic moment. So if you don't have a lot of money now and you feel like you're working every single day, every single week, every single year, and you're not getting there, if you continue, if you are consistent, if you don't give up, all that work is going to be rewarded one moment, right? The phenomenon, you can call it, where you make in 12 months more than you've made the previous 12 years. But most people are not willing to do that. Most people want to try something for a week, maybe a month. And if it doesn't work, try something new or give up overall.
I remember losing a ton of money, which I've lost in the past, but let's just say I was probably in my 20s, lost like $3-4 million on some bad business decision, whatever. And I remember emailing John Reese. You know John Reese?
Yes.
Okay, John Reese was the first ever dude in our internet marketing space to make $1 million in a day. So I had his private email address, and he kind of retired, but he would answer my emails, right? And I remember like sending him this long email, and then he wrote back. And one of the things he said was, "You're here where you're supposed to be." It was something along those lines. And he said, now that you've learned all the lessons, the next greatest comeback that you're going to have is basically going to be greater than all the setbacks that you have. And I remember thinking to myself, come on, bro, give me something else, you know. And as I remember, like pondered on it, I realized, oh my gosh, because of all these lessons, ups and downs, the only way you can fail is basically if you stop. But if you continue, then you'll be able to reap the rewards that goes like this, right? It's like buying crypto. You know, you don't make your money, of course, because it's not a bull run. Then Bitcoin goes from $3,000. You hold on to it long enough, and then one day you wake up and it's $69,000, and your entire life changes. But what do you have to be? You have to be consistent in holding. Same way, you have to be consistent in just keep going. And I find, like, because some of the biggest clients I've got come from my newsletter, right? So I have an email newsletter. I've been writing an email for now nearly 10 years, almost every single day, 5 to 6 times a week, even till now. It's like one activity. Now, I wish I was that consistent with making videos. That's my plan for the next 2 to 3 years, be consistent on video. But I made the bulk of my online digital marketing fortune from email marketing, right? Till today, the customers that buy and they pay me the most amount of money, 100K plus, guess what they say? I've been reading your emails. Consistency. Now imagine I quit 5 years ago. Imagine I quit only 6 months ago. I would have lost that momentum of someone else. So for example, I'm shooting this video with you. Mikey is here with me. He's going to take pictures of this. I'm going to email it to my list. And I'm going to say, hey, by the way, I have a video that's coming out on YouTube. I just interviewed one of my best friends, blah, blah, blah. Here's 3 lessons I learned. And it's just like I'm taking them on a journey. And consistency works. So think about it. Even when it comes to making money, if you're consistent long enough, that's where you get to reap the rewards. You've seen and you've made a lot of money in your own life in different businesses. If you had to start from scratch again, what are the top 3 skills that you're learning to make your first $100,000?
The first one might sound a little weird, but I think the first thing I would do is to really dig deep to understand my limitations. And here's what I mean by that. When we are growing up, there are a lot of limitations set on us. It can be from the school system, it can be from our parents, it can be from a lot of different people. So for example, I've made good money in this industry, but I would have made a lot more had I been more comfortable being on the forefront than behind the scenes.
Of course.
Right? I'll tell you one story. I remember the first campaign I've done. It took a while, but basically we launched a product, and within 3 days, I'll never forget it. We made $2.2 million.
Wow.
Right? And I didn't even know the figures at that time. So the guy I was working for, my man, he came to me at the end of the event. He gave me $200. He said, good job. I was so happy. I went home and I told my wife, man, you know, I was making about $700 a week, right? That was,
Yeah.
so I'm like, we can go for a nice steak dinner this weekend. This guy's the nicest guy in the world. I love him. A few weeks later, we're going to see the consultant. So he comes to me and says, hey, by the way, that event we did, we don't tell this to the team. I'll never forget it. We're illegal seafoods in the airport, waiting for our plane. He's like, don't tell the team. We did $2.2 million. We netted after all the expenses and paying some partners and joint venture partners, $870,000. So two things came to me at the time. First, I was like, and you only gave me $200, right? But then the second thing was like, wow, you just learned a skill where in 3 days you can make more money than people make in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? So the skill for me, if you're confused, if you don't know what to do, sales and marketing. You cannot go wrong with sales and marketing. Whether you want to work with a business, you want to work with a personal brand, this is the foundations that they need to help them grow their brand, help them grow in their customer base, their revenue. So there's a lot of things that you can do for yourself or for the clients, because most businesses are dying for somebody who's really good at marketing. But the reason I say limitations is because at that moment, I've had so many people, including yourself when I first met you, you're like, Nido, like, okay, you're doing well, bro, but you could be making a couple of $1 million. But I just understood that, you know what, I just wasn't, I tell myself, I'm not comfortable being in the camera. But all those things were limitations or childhood traumas or things that I didn't fight or I didn't learn on how to overcome them.
And it's funny because it's true, but this is the stuff that most people don't work on. Like, for example, I spent time with this dude, Dan Pena, spent like £20,000, went to his castle, beautiful, huge castle somewhere in Scotland. And I'm spending time with him. And one of the things he said, like, people that have created super success, I'm not saying I've had any level of success. I'm just saying, he's saying people like Steve Jobs or himself or whatever, they've had high self-esteem when they were growing up.
Absolutely.
And I remember thinking to myself, wow, even if my parents in the beginning, they weren't that supportive of me becoming an entrepreneur, my grandma gave me all the confidence in the world, dude. Like, I absolutely loved and adored my grandma to bits. Yeah. When I started my internet business, I'd be working in her room right next to her, right? And I'd just be running my business. And from a younger age, she made me feel like I could do no wrong. I could get away with everything. And whether that's good or bad, listen, let me know in the comments below. Is that good or bad? What it did for me was it increased my self-confidence. So by the time I was 15 years old, I was on the markets, Sunday market in Brick Lane. I'd get one of those milk crates. I'd stand up and I'd start shouting, "Uncle, brothers, who wants to buy a mobile phone?" And I was selling 15 years old, 16 years old, 17. As soon as I discovered eBay, I was like, oh my gosh, I would go to my neighbor's house. Hey, one man's trash is another man's treasure. They'd be like, what? I'm like, do you have anything in your garage, in your house that I can sell? I'm a commission-only eBay salesperson. I'm on my way to becoming a power seller. They had no idea what that means. And I wasn't even a power seller. But I was like, I'm on my way to becoming a power seller. Look, I charge 0% commissions. Can I just come and see what you have in your house so I can take a picture? And I started realizing, wow, I could sell stuff. And then I went on to, obviously, mashallah, I made my first $1 million at 23 years old. And I started growing multiple millions. And then when I started teaching and we started hosting events, and obviously I've done over 100 events all over the world, I would see this one commonality amongst all the people. It don't matter if it's in Singapore, America, Canada, Australia, Bahamas, Costa Rica, whatever country you go. Number one thing that they had all in common, they want to hit the $10,000 a month magical mark. Mm-hmm. And number two, they didn't have sales and marketing. And I remember like a long time ago, a friend of mine, mentor at the time, and now a friend, Mike Dillard, he said, most people want to become business owners, but to make a business work, you have to learn two things. You have to learn sales and marketing. But that's the two things most businesses don't work on. We just go in the Uber and the guy said, he's spending years, you can tell he's like, I've got this degree, I got a first, I got an AI startup that I'm working. Not once did he mention anything about, I've made this much sales. Yeah. This is my marketing plan. In my head, I'm already thinking, bro, You can do as much research as possible until you got money in the bank. Until you have customers that are willing to pay and they're able to buy your solution to their pain, you don't have no business. And again, I believe most people don't understand this is because they don't have, like I asked you, what are the top 3 skills? Sales, marketing, and really your mindset.
That's it.
If you don't get your mindset right, then and you can have all the videos in the world on YouTube. You can buy all the courses. I mean, I spent $750,000 on hiring mentors, consultants, coaches, and I'm still going through, hey, what can I learn? What can I unlock from my mind? How can I create a new personality so I can create new reality? How can I let go of limiting beliefs? What are the beliefs that I have around my team, about people, about my customers? I just shared with you a story. I have one of my friends, he does over 70 million pounds a year, and he pays something ridiculous to different marketing agencies. And then you said to me, bro, that's the kind of customers basically that we want. So you can have the skills right now or develop the skills. And instead of thinking small, you can ask yourself, who has a problem that's willing to pay me this sort of money? Right? Like we were with a guy a few days ago in central London, and he's charging $10,000 for his service. And then you turn around to him and said, oh, I charge 120K for you. Were like, Shaqir charges 100K, 200K for his services. And in my mind, I'm thinking, no, it's too little. I mean, because I've experienced, right? I had Russell Brunson pay me $1.3 million, mashallah, for a single domain name that I bought for $5,000. I had $1 million profit day. I mean, like $1.3 million. So I know, hey, I can have other people that will pay me $1 million for my services, $10 million for a business program that I can sell to them. And so it gets you thinking big. You spend time with Shaquille O'Neal, Richard Branson, Gary Vee, and whatever. When you look at their business models, and then you think to yourself, man, if I wanted to make $10 million a year or bigger, like thinking bigger, what's the industry that you would get into right now? Like, so for someone watching this right now, sales and marketing, but like in what niche, in what industry? Is it real estate? Is it offline services? Is it AI? Where would you advise?
Yeah. So first thing I would do is I would build my personal brand.
Okay.
Right. So when you look at someone like Gary Vee, Anas Buka, So I'll give you Anas because I obviously I know him more than anyone else. He's someone who's built his personal brand. And because he's built a very big personal brand, now he has other successful businesses. And I'm not saying everybody who supports that business is because of his personal brand, because he does provide great service. He has high standards, all the businesses in, but it supports that ecosystem, right? Same thing with Gary Vee. Gary Vee has built a personal brand that supports his agency. So the first thing is for me, especially in social media is becoming bigger and bigger, and most people, this is where the new world is, right? You build your personal brand, and then you can figure out what else are you really good at. So if you're a dentist, for example, I'll give you an example. A dentist who has a very big personal brand will be a lot more successful than a great dentist who doesn't have that level of status. In fact, I worked with the dental industry for a very long time. The most successful dentists were not necessarily the best dentists. In fact, the best dentists that I knew, the ones that went to the school, did all the treatments, spent all their time, money, and energy on learning all the different techniques to provide the right procedures, they're actually the broke dentists. They're the ones who can't hire the right people. They're 1 month away from bankruptcy. They're struggling month after month after month. Whereas the person who invested more time and energy, okay, they're still good dentists, but they invested most of their time and energy to learn marketing, to learn positioning, to learn branding. They're the ones that are attracting the best patients in any market. So that's the first thing, is build your brand, and wherever you want to facilitate that to, based on your strength, based on what you're good at, then you do that. About AI, I think AI is something that everyone needs to look into and how they can apply this into their business to make it part of their work routine. Whether you want to have your team, like right now, anybody that I work with, anybody that works with for me, they all must use AI. It's not a choice. It's not a choice. And I tell them, look, I'm like, I can easily replace you with AI. I don't need you to be the smartest person here. I don't need your brain. I need you to use your brain on how to get the most out of the AI tools that are available today.
Yeah.
So I think it's a must because it's an advantage that we have. It's a new thing, and unfortunately, most people are still not even up to date with it.
Yeah.
And those who are the pioneers on this and they get on the wagon and they actually figure out how to make it work for their industry, they're the ones who are going to be, succeeding.
A quick off topic, because my brain's in so many different directions, but we just met one of our mutual friends who used to be an Uber Eats driver.
Yeah.
Right, on the bike. That's what Uber Eats.
I don't know what's
something like that. Basically, an Uber Eats delivery person, amazing human being, and he also just cashed out $4 million in crypto, right? So without mentioning his name and stuff, what makes him different than everyone else that you've seen? Because right now we're entering into a new phase of crypto bull market.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about crypto.
So I'll talk about what I think makes him successful.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell a quick story of this lesson and how it applies to him. Basically, I remember watching a video on YouTube, and the video was from Warren Buffett. And the Warren Buffett tells a story of the first time him and Bill Gates met, and Bill Gates' father asked both of them to write down on a piece of paper so they don't influence each other's answers the one thing that led to their success. By this time, they were both in mid-30s, so they were still fairly young, but obviously hit the $1 billion mark. So they both wrote down the same answer, and that answer was focus. Right? Not some financial strategy, not marketing, not focus. So their ability to focus on a craft is what made them successful. So coming back to your question, his ability to focus. He took a few months off. He said, I do not want to be disturbed. I do not want anybody. I'm not going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to be locked in my room. He even told me the story where some of his family members started to think he was depressed, where all he did was just be in the room, understand the industry, understand the opportunities that are available, and focus, laser focus to make it work for him.
Yeah.
And that was a success. And this is what anybody can do in any industry. But when you say patience, I mean, there's so many fancy words out there, perseverance, consistency. It all boils down to your ability to focus.
Yeah. Because we definitely need a part 2, because obviously Nido is one of my closest friends in the world, so I can spend hours with him. We definitely need to do a part 2, maybe in Dubai.
Yeah.
In Dubai, we do a part 2. But for now, if you like videos like this, I'm going to bring friends, people that Nido will recommend as well onto the pod. Subscribe below. Let me know in the comments what's your number one takeaway from this. And Nido, I'm going to include all of your social links as well. Make sure you go follow him. He's just launched his YouTube channel as well. He's interviewing some big mad celebrities, people with. You just need to go follow him, check him out. And if you're interested in marketing or getting in touch with him to help you in your business, I'll include all of his links below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.